Welcome again, everybody, to this press conference for Call Me By Your Name. Thank you to the Mayfair Hotel for hosting us here this morning. Call Me By Your Name is going to have its UK premiere here at the BFI London Film Festival tonight as the Mayor of London's gala at Odeon Leicester Square, following premieres throughout this year at Sundance, Berlin, Toronto and elsewhere. I mean, congratulations on the reception it's received so far, and also here over the past few days. The film, I'd like to remind everyone, is written by James Ivory and adapted from the novel by André Aciman. Congratulations, all of you. Such a moving, wise and deeply affecting film. I think it's a film that films like it's about many powerful things all at once without labouring any of them. I mean, things that come to mind: youth, family, beauty, love, sex, wisdom, knowledge, the power of one transforming summer within which almost entirely the story is set, and so much more. And I think it builds to an extremely affecting series of final scenes as well. A question to both Luca and Armie first, actually, to get things going. I've heard both of you talking about resisting making this film. Luca, you were originally involved on the production side and you weren't planning to direct. Armie, I've heard you talk about how when you first had started conversations with Luca, you weren't entirely sure this was the character for you, that you were up to playing it. I'd like to hear from both of you this idea of first resisting the roles you have in relationship to this film, and whether thinking about exactly why you should do it, how you should do it, whether that initial resistance actually helped you to rise up to a greater challenge in the end and achieve it.
Yeah, no, it's true. When I first read this, this is a completely stripped away movie. There's no fanfare, there's no green screen, there's no monsters, there's nothing to distract from sort of this raw and open vulnerability and honestness of two characters who sort of expose themselves to another person in an emotional capacity, and it's so beautifully received and then reciprocated. And the entire movie would live and die depending on these little moments. And if they weren't honest and genuine, then it would just never work. And I just didn't know that I could be that honest as a performer. I didn't know that I could do that. I didn't really, it made me nervous to be that vulnerable and honest on film in an acting capacity. But then I had several great conversations with Luca about sort of the nature of fear and desire and how they're very sort of part and parcel. And then he challenged me. He's like, look, if you say you want to live your life as an artist, don't you want to take movies that challenge you? Don't you want to take movies that force you to, grow? And couldn't be more thankful that I took his advice.
I think my resistances were of the same sort, because it was probably too simple and too right for me to make the Aciman novel into a movie, given that I have been making films about people lounging in the summer. And so I had to question very deeply if that was the case or if there was something more. So it was really a long process, and I say the thing that really draw the calling cards for me were to shoot in Crema and to work with this fantastic cast of performers. Those were the two things. And I love the book by Aciman very, very dearly. But I would say to go in a place in which I wanted to go, to spend time with these characters and to try to build a language for them to speak in the movie as a cinema language, it had to be to do with the place and the people.
You mentioned place there. You shot this film in northern Italy. It's a question I'd like to put to all of you, starting with Esther, this idea of the sense of place. I mean, it's extremely strong in the film, in the house, the landscape, the region, the trees, the water, everything. How much did being there, telling the story as a group, with your collaborators, Luca and everyone else, how much did being there add to what you were able to do as a director for you, Luca, and for the three of you as actors on this film?
So he said you.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I think I have to speak in English, because I don't see any earrings for the translation. So, okay. Can you repeat the question, please?
I was asking, sure, yeah. Luca was talking about one of the things that really made him want to direct the film was shooting where he did shoot in northern Italy, in Lombardy.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what that meant to you as actors and to Luca as a director, and being there, shooting in this house within that landscape, the trees, the water, everything that we as spectators love about the sense of place in the film. What did it mean for you as performers?
Okay. For me, to be like in Italy in this landscape, it was exactly as a mirror at the shooting. It was like a big bubble. I mean, for my character Marcia, for me, she's a local girl, so I'm completely part of the landscape. I mean, it's my in my head, it's my town. So I took all of the landscape as my house finally, and I was in like there is only this space for me, and okay, I'm not sure I answer really well at your question, but you know what I mean.
En français?
En français?
Oui, oui.
Ok. Ce que je voulais dire par là, c'est que, en gros, pour moi, le personnage de Marcia, tout ce qu'elle avait dans sa vie, c'est cette ville, c'est Elio qui fait partie de sa vie, et finalement, elle est très jeune et elle n'a vécu que ça, et du coup, être dans ce paysage-là, en Italie, hors de France, hors de mon pays, pour moi, c'était en miroir du tournage, c'est-à-dire être comme dans la bulle du tournage, être dans cette bulle d'atmosphère, en fait, dans laquelle elle évolue.
If I translate right, I think you said that to be on set, being in that place as Marcia was part of that landscape was for you like mirroring Marcia and being like Marcia, immersed in the place.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Timothy, for you, the experience of shooting in this place?
I think it's exactly as you put it, which is that the setting is almost one of the characters in the film. And as Esther really beautifully put it, she felt like Marcia was of the landscape. And because Elio spends his summers there, I felt of the landscape too. And I even got the chance to go out to Crema maybe a couple of weeks early and get the chance to live there and work. And by the time Armie got there, I already had a couple spots in town that I knew, a couple places I liked to visit. So when he got there, the relationship kind of took the form that, Elio and Oliver takes at the beginning of the book, where I showed him around town and kind of showed him a couple different places. So the setting is almost a character in the book and in the movie.
I just went to go eat good pasta.
But on the back of that, for your character, they're saying that their characters are already part of this landscape. For you, it's one of the many discoveries that happens in the film, and your character is discovering the place as much as. He's a cultured individual, but not necessarily a well-traveled one. So, I'd also never been to Crema, so the experience of firsts for me was also very real and visceral. Getting to go to this little town, getting to see this place, getting to live where we shot the movie, it was all a first for me, and it felt like a very new and amazing experience, and it was incredibly analogous to the perfect idyllic summer that the movie sort of encapsulates, except I got to live it while shooting it. Thank you. Let's start taking some questions. There are 2 microphones going around. I'll set up, if we could take one question over there on the second row, please, if there's a microphone over there. It's coming over to you. So there's only one microphone going around. There we go. And then if we can set another one up on the row behind, please.
Okay, Simon Button, UK Freelance. Congratulations on that absolutely wonderful film. Luca, question for you. What I found really fascinating is there is no antagonist. There's no character on the outside saying this is wrong or these guys shouldn't, or passing judgment. Was that something was conscious on your part to take that out completely?
I would say yes, absolutely. This is a book. This is taken from the book by Aciman. So in Aciman's book, it's a recollection of memories from Elio's perspective, many years after the events, and it's so internalized. The movie, it's basically in third person, and it's the now and then of the summer between Elio and Oliver, and what I tried to do was to be with them. To be with them, within the environment they're living, and to try not to think in terms of a sort of cinematic expectancy of how things have to go in a movie to play, for a movie to work. In fact, many of the people we asked to finance the movie, they turned the movie down because it didn't play according to the textbook of the coming of age, and in particular of the gay coming of age, in which there has to be an antagonist. There has to be an internal and an external antagonist. The thing that I felt very liberating for me as a director was that there were no antagonists, internal and external. It was more about what happens in real life, that you find someone and you discover yourself in the eyes of the other one. And I think that the fact that the parents and in general the world is supportive comes from a great Prefab Sprout song, which says, all the world loves lovers, all the world loves people in love, and I grew up with that song. So for me, it's really personal approach to the subject matter.
Thank you. I think there's a question set up behind there. If we could just get the microphone down to the front here. Thank you.
So this is a question for Timothée and Armie. The film explores like the trials and tribulations of having a first love. What are you hoping that young people will take away from that aspect of the film?
I'm 31, dude. You take this.
I mean, the real answer is however one takes it is great in my book, and certainly if one can be inspired to have that first love, or to be reminded of a first love, or to be healed by this viewing experience in some sort of therapeutic capacity, however it does it, that would really, I guess, be the goal. But just the reactions across the spectrum have been so gratifying and humbling. And at Sundance, somebody raised their hand in the Q&A and talked about Michael Stuhlbarg's monologue at the end of the film, the speech between the father and the son. And that was the first time I saw somebody, raise their hand and said, I wish I had that father in my life. So that's not exactly what you were alluding to, because you were talking about first love. But that was a special moment where I thought, oh man, maybe this film's really going to be able to affect people. And then in the context of a first love, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully people will be reminded of it, and maybe even somebody can be inspired to take that leap with someone that they haven't taken before. God forbid somebody says no to them or something, but no.
Yeah, that was beautiful, thank you.
Thank you. Come to down here to take this question. If we could just move the microphone along to the end of the row, please. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jana from Ready Form International, and I would like to ask Luca, what would you say is the strength in Italian movie today, in Italian cinema?
I'm not a good person to answer this question, to be honest. I don't know. I don't do Italian films, so I really don't know. I can, as much as I can talk about any cinema around the world, we should talk about Japanese cinema, probably.
Okay, then say Japanese cinema.
I think that Japanese cinema has a great voice in Hirozaku Koreeda.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't want to be contentious, but it's true.
We'll take that question then. If we could just move the microphone back a row, please. Thank you.
Hi, it's Alistair Harkness from The Scotsman. It's a question for Armie. You created quite the Twitter storm with James Woods, his reaction to this film. I wonder how important you think a film like this is in challenging those kinds of just regressive thinking and prejudiced thinking and redressing the sort of double standards in society.
I think that's one of the really powerful things about art, and it's a beautiful thing that can be an outcome when something goes so right and you have an amazing artist sort of helming something. You get reactions from people, and that's exactly what you want from art. I think if this movie can challenge a perspective or what someone thinks, or allow someone to think from someone else's shoes, I think that's an amazingly powerful testament to what Luca was able to do.
Luca, do you perceive it as a challenging film?
I personally don't, honestly. It's curious because someone may remember the big scandals of the 80s. One was the Je vous salue Marie by Jean-Luc Godard, and the other one was the Last Temptation of Christ by Scorsese. And many of the people who were very aggressive about those films were people who haven't seen the films. And the same way, I would say that Mr. Woods, who I dearly love as a wonderful, wonderful performer, I grew up watching Videodrome 150 times, so it's a genius actor. He hasn't seen the film. I urge him to watch the movie because I heard that he was retiring at the 6 o'clock and then came back to cinema at 8, and I'd like to work with him. So maybe he has to see the film to see if he wants to work with a perverted guy or with a nice guy. I think I'm a nice guy.
We're going to take a question. I think it was there. Move the microphone back a row to someone over here, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm from Propeller TV, and I have a question to Timothy from our Chinese audiences. They really like you, and they give you a nickname called Tian Cha, because Tim Cha sounds like Tian Cha, and that literally means sweet tea.
Sweet tea.
Yeah, so they really like you, and they really want to know, is there anything you can share about us, about your future plan, and does that include China?
Wow, I mean, thank you. From now on, everybody, please call me Sweet Tea. And
done.
Nothing in the future, but it'd be great to get out there, and I'm kind of like stunned or something, because I'm always surprised when anybody cares. So yeah, I look forward to being out there, God willing, if the world doesn't explode before then, and yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take that question there, please. And if we could, there's a gentleman 2 rows back there with his hand up. If we could go there. Thanks.
Hi there, it's Jamie Dunn from The Skinny in Scotland. I read an interview recently with James Ivory that he suggested that the scenes he wrote were perhaps a bit more explicit than what ended up in the film. So I just wondered if Luca could comment on that, if he agrees, and if he made changes, why did he feel that he wanted to change some of the scenes?
James and I worked on the script in 2015 on the bridge between 14 and 15 while I was shooting Big Splash. And Rafe was naked a lot in the set, and James came on set and see the spectacle of the beauty of Rafe being jumping like a satire on set. And I think he was really inspired by that. And then we tried to make the movie with him as a director, and we really tried very, very hardly, because I'm a cinephile and I wanted to watch a movie by James Ivory, let alone of being a producer of James Ivory. To be beside Mr. Merchant would have been a great honor for me. Unfortunately, we didn't succeed, and so the wand passed to me. And when we started to work on the script with my editor, Walter Fasano, which we do basically on every movie, because a movie, it's an organism that is alive until it ends in the eyes of who watches the film. And so the script works, but changes a lot through the shoot until the editing process. I already had so much fulfillment with Rafe that I didn't need to be fulfilled by Armie or Timmy, but they were very eager to be challenging Rafe in that ground. But they said, no.
Thank you. I think we've got a question set up there. If we could, anyone at the back there looking? No, if we could get microphone down to this gentleman here. Thank you.
Okay, hello, I'm Milo, writing for UCL Film Society. And I think one of the particularly beautiful things about the film were the songs by Sufjan Stevens that kind of came every once in a while. I'm interested in the process of getting him involved, how he came to be involved, how working with him was, and kind of making those songs part of the film integrally, I think.
Speaking of nudity, I think that the great depth of Mr. Stevens, of Sufjan, is in the way he approaches his own biography and how he fleshes out on his beautiful canon of songwriter, Carrie and Lowell. It's like an incredible, painful album about his parents and the relationship with his mother. So when we decided to go away from the narrative first singular person of the book and to skip the idea of some sort of narration in the film, we still felt that we needed to have a sort of godlike personality that was enveloping the film. And you can go there in different ways. Like if you think of The Shining, you have the cards. It's Wednesday, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. This is how Kubrick conveys the idea of a sort of someone controlling the time of the film and the space. We thought that instead of going for something like that, like cards or stuff like that, maybe someone that was so honest and so bare in its, let's say, art, like Sufjan, would have been a wonderful voice to be added to the place and the characters of this film. So I would say he's another character in the movie. So I approached him, and as all the great people I approached in my life, starting with Tilda Swinton in 1995, he called back And say, yeah, why not? And we discussed about the book, the theme of the book, the script, the ideas for the film. And he was very shy, and I said, okay, maybe if you can give us a song. And then a few months later, he shows up with 3 songs. 2 are new, Visions of Gideon and Mystery of Love, and 1 is a reinterpretation of a rearrangement for piano of Futile Devices. So when the urgency of the voice of Elio and Oliver becomes strong in the movie, we start to get also the voice of Sufjan that goes with us until the end.
Thank you. So question here, please. I'd just like to get the microphone to the very back. There's a gentleman at the back row there. Thank you.
Hi there, James Backman from UBTV. I was just wondering, the chemistry in the film was something that stuck with me, like for the whole thing. I think that's what made it for me as well. It was such fantastic performances in directing, so congratulations to you all. I was just wondering, how was it achieved, and did you have much rehearsing before the actual shooting?
I think the testament of the intelligence of the 3 people in here is that we didn't do any rehearsals.
We did one rehearsal.
A little tiny one, in which...
We did one rehearsal at the house. We show up and Luca says, let's just do a quick rehearsal. And we go, oh, yeah, great. You know, we're all wound up. We're ready to go. We've been spending a lot of time together. You know, we're ready to do this. He's like, great, let's go out in the backyard. So we go in the backyard and there's like a patch of grass. And he goes, why don't you guys lay down there and just rehearse, I don't know, scene 72. So I don't know if that was the actual number, but we flip in the page and we find the script and it just says, Elio and Oliver make out in the grass. And that's all it said. So he goes, whenever you're ready. And so Timmy and I kind of were like, okay, let's do this. So we lay down on the grass, we start making out, and he's like, no. More like you feel it, like it's you, me, and then we were like, okay, all right, let's do it. And we start making out again, and we're going, and we're going, and we're going. All of a sudden we look up and Luca had already walked away and just kind of left us there in the grass. That was our one rehearsal.
And we didn't need the proof of this rehearsal with Marcia and Elio.
One question off the back of that, both for Armie and for Timothy. I mean, there was no rehearsal, but and that example there, Luca was just throwing you into one scene to rehearse it. I mean, what level or what discussions were there between the 2 of you as shooting went on, and relating to how your character's relationship was and wasn't developing? Or did you continue to find a lot of it in the scene, or was there a lot of discussion between you?
Oh, go ahead. My memory of it is that we were so lucky to have so much time with one another in advance and to build that chemistry naturally just by way of learning about each other as human beings, as opposed to the artifice you can create by asking very vulnerable questions of each other immediately, which you'll do sometimes if you have 3-4 days before a film. You know, rather we had 4 or 5 weeks and we became such good friends naturally. There was such a genuine connection. It never really felt like we had to explicitly illustrate where the relationship was going or how the arc was doing. Also, we were in the best of hands, and as Luca alluded to at the beginning of the Q&A, it's a quote unquote simple story. A lot of stuff goes on, but the narrative is pretty clear. So, no, it didn't feel like you never want to be in the control room. You just kind of want to, and you want to trust your director. Luca was always taking care of that, or how the arc was progressing naturally. So, I think we just focused on, I don't know, liking each other in real life or something, or getting along and making sure that everything was going smoothly.
Thank you. Go to the back for that question there. Thank you.
Hello, Darren Scott from Gay Times magazine. You say that you've all learnt quite a lot of things from making this movie. So what's the most important thing that you have each taken away from this project to move you personally?
Should we start at the very end with Esther? Was that the most important thing that you've learnt, that you've taken away from making this film?
La chose la plus importante que j'ai apprise avec ce film.
Parle en français.
Ok, d'accord. En fait, moi, je dois dire que, j'ai eu l'opportunité de travailler avec Luca dans ce film, et ça a été. On peut jamais savoir à quoi s'attendre avec le travail avec un metteur en scène, mais avec Luca, c'était assez extraordinaire parce que il y a une chose qui s'est passée qui est très rare, c'est que sa direction, en y repensant, n'est pas passée par les mots, mais par ce qu'il dégage, par son énergie, par son regard qu'il a posé sur moi. Et ça c'est une chose que je n'ai jamais trouvée ailleurs, à part avec mon père. Voilà.
It's humbling what she said. I'm going to translate. It's about me. Sorry. Esther just said that what she's going to dearly bring with her in this movie is the way I directed her, which wasn't about speaking the words, but the way I was looking at her, and that she never felt this way, apart from her father, Philippe Garrel, which is one of the greatest directors alive. Thank you so much. I'm humbled.
Same question to you, Timothée.
Oh, sure.
There is a moment in the movie in which I made Esther, this was sickening, this is perverted. I made Esther speak a dialogue that is from J'entends plus la guitare, which is the masterpiece from Philippe Garrel, 1985. It's at the end of the movie when finally they meet and they speak about being friend for life. That was really like, we took the dialogue from Garrel and we put in the mouth of Garrel's daughter. That was a nice mise en abîme, as they would say in France.
It's a weird way to put it, but you know, just the I'm stealing this from Armie, so don't kill me when it gets to you. But I don't think I'll ever have an experience as immersive as this one, being out there a month in advance, getting to shoot in the region where it was from, getting to shoot in the region where the director lives, and getting a story that's so intimate and intimately told, and there's so many moments of thought in the script and characters thinking, which is rare. Usually things are very exposition oriented and you got to move the plot forward. So yeah, I'm going to be hard pressed to find a project like this anytime soon, I think.
I forgot the original question. I'm sorry.
What do you bring with you after you made it of this experience?
It's none of your damn business.
Could you answer that question, Luca?
It's an easy answer. I would say these people that I worked with and that I wish to work again and again and again. And it's not because they are here, it's true.
Thank you. We take another, a couple of questions down the front there. Could I take a question from you, please? Thank you.
Yes, hi. I'm Joyce Glasser. I write for Highwood House Publishing, various publications for the over 50s viewer. And so I was very interested in James Ivory's contribution to this. But the question I really have to ask, because we can only ask one, is first of all, it was so extraordinary to watch this film. I was very happy to have seen it in a small screening room a few weeks ago where I could sit and cry way after the credits ended. And it was breathtaking, thank you. But the question I wanted to ask is, what I loved about it also was all the detail. These people really lived and really did things. They had jobs, they had books in their homes. It was lived in. It wasn't just, they weren't just waiting for a plot to happen. And the trilingualism, too, was fantastic. And I'm wondering, I didn't read the book yet. Was all that in the book?
Well, in the book you get the very strong background of these characters. I mean, yeah, of course, yes. The answer is yes. Sorry.
Thank you. I'm going to say, I think we've got time for one or maybe two more questions. Let's take a question from you there. If you could just keep your hand up, please. No, we'll go behind first, actually, and then we'll come down there, and that will have to be the end. Thank you.
I'm Emma Louise from Project Noir. There have been a few comparisons to Moonlight. Do you see any similarities at all?
I think I am a big admirer of Barry Jenkins' masterpiece, and I see in his research a great love for the Taiwanese cinema of Ho Xiaoxian, and I love Ho Xiaoxian, so I think that's our common ground, probably. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one forward there. Thank you.
Hello. Ciao, Luca. I'm Francesco. I'm writing for Live for Films. I just wanted to ask you, since you said that you obviously don't make Italian films, and I agree. But so I was wondering, in terms of what's your secret to be in the little group of Italian directors who actually work in Hollywood, like Paolo Sorrentino? How do you see that happening?
I mean, I wish I was working in Hollywood. I do not, honestly. but I love Hollywood, and I am always very fascinated. I'm like a kid in a candy store when I go to Los Angeles, and then I go to meet these people. They're fantastic, and they can entertain you with incredible, thoughtful conversations about cinema that are really unheard of if you think of these kind of meetings on the other side of the ocean, to be honest. Maybe one day we'll do movies in Hollywood. So far, I haven't done movies in Hollywood.
That's it. Thank you very much. We're going to have to draw the press conference to a close. Just to remind everyone that the film is screening this evening as it's its UK premiere tonight as the Mayor of London's gala. One by one, I'd like to thank Esther Garrel, Timothée Chalamet, Armie Hammer, Luca Guadagnino. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys,
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey You Guys!